I'm making this video as a warning to all young entrepreneurs who are currently in school or working full time, planning on taking their business full time. And the reason why is because I was in your shoes. I was a junior in high school and I watched an Iman Gadzhi video, bought his course, and got started on my SMMA. And a year later, while still in high school, I finally hit that 10K a month mark. And despite how glamorous that sounds, the truth behind it was pretty dark. I was pretty much killing myself. And what I mean by that is I was working nonstop, constant 14, 16, and 18-hour days every single day without rest. It got so bad to where my average sleep time on my Whoop, which is essentially a sleep tracker, was less than 5.5 hours. And my biological age was 4 years older than my actual age. My cortisol, testosterone, hormones, everything of the sort was completely dysregulated. And that was because my schedule was literally this. I would wake up at 4:30 a.m. to hit the gym because, got to get the gains. Before going to school at 7 a.m., I would get home from school at 3 p.m. And from 3 p.m. to sometimes upwards of 10 p.m., I would be taking sales calls, doing outreach, cold calling, right? All the RGAs to drive the business forward. And then past 10 p.m., that's when I would start fulfilling for clients, building systems, learning, studying to continuously get ahead. And then by 12 to sometimes 1 a.m., I would then finally pass out. And after that, I would repeat the cycle again and again. It got even worse for a 3-month period of time where I was also juggling a part-time job just to pay my software expenses. And it's absolutely crazy to think about, but that was what life was like for months on end. And I was super dysregulated. I cut off all relationships, all friendships. I didn't go to my senior or junior prom, and I was essentially just locked in 24/7. And keep in mind, this is definitely not what I'm recommending, nor would I recommend to most people because it was extremely unhealthy. And in all honesty, let's be real, making $10,000 a month at 18 while still in high school is definitely not a necessity for life. And if you're watching this video right now, then it probably means that you have a very similar mindset to myself as well. Now, aside from having absolutely cooked health, there was one trap that was way more deadly that I could have never foreseen happen. And that is the freedom trap. Now, you might be asking, what is this freedom trap? And the answer is it is the psychological illusion that when your time frees up by either your full-time job or full-time schooling getting removed out of the equation, that your life will suddenly fix itself and you'll also have double the time to be double as productive. And I told this to myself day in and day out of going through this hell while in school. Once school's over, a couple months out, right? I'll have 7 hours back. I'll be able to sleep more. I'll be able to get more done. I'll be able to grow the business even more because of all this time that I get back. But that is a lie. And the reason why that doesn't end up happening is because of something called Parkinson's law, which basically says that any given task or clump of tasks, aka your work, will bend to fill the time allotted for it. Meaning, if you have 4 hours to get something done, then those tasks or that task will force itself to bend to that 4 hours to get done. While on the other hand, if you have 12 hours to get the same thing done, then the human brain, just by nature, will give itself 12 hours, and that task that could have taken 4 hours will now take 12 hours. And that is exactly what I experienced the second after I graduated. I thought I was free. I remember graduation day and everyone was all excited about graduating and it's this happy thing. And for me, it was just more so a weight being lifted off my shoulder. This burden of school that's sucking up 7 hours of my day that I could be putting into the agency to scale past 30, 50, 100K a month. That is all mine now. And that was the freedom trap that I fell into. I thought that now that I had all this time back, that I would be double as productive. Those 8 hours, 7 hours that I'm getting back are now going to be filled with productive work. When in reality, the next couple weeks and even months, I realized Parkinson's law completely kicked my butt. Instead of waking up super early, going to the gym early, starting my day early, being super productive, I started sleeping in just because I can. And now I'm starting my days at 8, 9, 10 a.m. some days, to where then I now see an entire empty calendar in front of me, to where it's like, oh my goodness, I have from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. or 12 a.m. I have 12 to 14 hours to get all these tasks done. And what does that do? That makes you lazy. That gets you complacent. That gets you to where you just continue putting off things, to where then by the time it's time to do it, you're like, oh, well, I could do this tomorrow, or I could do this later. And that was also why my sleep never got fixed, despite not having to force myself to wake up that much earlier, right? To go to the gym or do work before school. I realized, like, okay, I could just push off my task till later. Okay, it's 10 p.m. and I have to do this. Well, I could just do 11 p.m. I don't have to wake up for school tomorrow. 11 p.m. comes around, maybe I could do it at 1 a.m. And then I'd end up going to sleep super late, passing out. My sleep didn't get fixed. Then wake up in the morning late. My day starts late, but I have a whole day ahead of me that now doesn't have school that I can then do all my tasks in. But then the procrastination kicks in. Oh, I have more time for this. I have 14 hours ahead. I don't have school. I could do this later. I could do this another day. And that trap kept me stagnant for months on end. So looking back at it, despite not having school and despite technically getting 7 hours of my day back, I was being no more productive than I was when I had school on my plate. And the crappy thing was, my sleep also never improved. So that meant that my energy didn't improve, right? My hormones didn't get regulated. And I was literally within the same cycle as I was when I was in school. I just now didn't have to show up to classes. And initially, when looking back at those couple months after graduation, I thought, like, it's crazy that this happened to me. It's crazy that I'm not so much further along despite having graduated high school. Like, this is so mind-boggling to me. But then after talking with a couple other agency owners, I realized I was not alone in this. There were two agency owners in particular, and I'm not going to drop their names here, but essentially they were in a very similar position as myself. One of them was 17 and the other was 16, and they both scaled their agencies to multiple six figures a year while still in high school. And they both actually ended up dropping out, but after they dropped out, they fell victim to the same exact trap. So what I did as soon as I became cognizant of this was I paid a mentor to hold me accountable.
You need to get the bitchitis out of your system.
To put these deadlines and time restrictions where there were none. And I'm so grateful for this mentor because he made me take this so seriously, to where if I didn't get X task done by X deadline, then he would literally charge my credit card $200. And keep in mind, this was not a bluff. I actually witnessed it happen to one of his other mentees. And that's really when everything changed for me. I was finally able to break this freedom trap because now I had constraints and timeline constraints on what needed to get done. That way, no matter what, despite having 14 hours in a day or 16 hours in a day, or I could do this later, I could do this tomorrow, right? There were now hard consequences, right? No one wants to get charged $200 for missing a task or a deadline, right? So there were now hard consequences and hard timelines that now my brain associated the work with. So now I needed to get that work done in the allotted time. And guess what? It actually got done. I now was using Parkinson's law in my favor. And now fast forward a year later, I'm now 19 years old, making $30K a month in my agency. My sleep has definitely gotten better, has a ways to go, but the main thing is I am continuing to progress. So once again, if you're a young entrepreneur, if you're working a job, if you're at school, whether that's college, high school, whatever it may be, and you're grinding on your business, just make sure when you get to a point where you either succeed enough to drop out of school or quit your job or whatever it may be, do not fall victim to the freedom trap, and make sure to leverage Parkinson's law in your favor and not let it kill you.